Yeah, but on top of his flow and how he raps, there's also just the aesthetic of the music, just
Right.
the fact that it doesn't sound like he uses a pop filter at all.
No.
It sounds like he's recording this like straight to his iPhone, like he's just holding his iPhone
Yeah.
to his hand, to his mouth, and just rapping. Like that's like that aesthetic also
Yeah.
is like I don't know who predates that. Like
Yeah.
everything kind of sounds like a demo,
Yeah.
not necessarily in a bad way, but everything kind of sounds like a demo.
Yeah, it kind of adds to, I think it just adds to the greater sense of the music in the way that so much of his music in the past, like I said, is so sad and so depressing in so many ways that it kind of makes sense that if, like, when you're listening to it, I feel like I'm listening to a person who can only just muster up, like, getting the art out by itself, putting himself out there, putting his thoughts and feelings and experiences out there in a way that are super, like, super palpable, and being able to do that in spite of like not using the best, most cutting edge practices when it comes to recording and producing the music. I think for me, it went to show like how powerful the message, the person, and the experiences behind the music happen to be. And so that's why I feel like each Mike record for me has just gotten better and better, because there's been more resources for him to be able to produce a better record, produce a more well-rounded record. And I think, through this, he's really, I mean, this album still has those sad, moody tones at times, but I feel like through the amount of musical therapy that he's kind of put himself through to this point, that I just sense a new sense of comfort or confidence behind Mike and his rapping, his message and what he's saying, than there was in the past, when it just felt like, man, this guy is like literally just getting out the thoughts and ideas, because they are difficult to arise and then put them out.
I probably first heard him probably around Tears of Joy.
Mm-hmm.
That's like 2018 maybe,
Think so.
somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And I probably that's when I first heard of him, and I like went and like listened to it, and I was like, yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
I don't see why people are talking about this guy. Okay, and then as years went by, people kept bringing his name up. I was like, I watched a few videos on YouTube, whatever, and I probably wouldn't have listened to this album if you hadn't said that we were talking about it. So I
Nice.
sat down and I listened to this album on my speakers, like my good speakers. I was like, yeah, I don't care. So, and then I put on my headphones and I went for a walk and I listened to this album. I was like, oh, okay, because it's so intimate. It's
Wow.
so intimate. Like I feel like you have to like it has to be like right, at least for me, it has to be like right in your ear, like it's him talking to you, like really pouring his heart out in the moment. And I was like, okay, now I get loud, now I understand it.
Yeah, with each passing record, as he does begin to sound more comfortable, as he does begin to sound like the music is actually the thing that he loves, and that is kind of helping him through this, because he releases pretty often too. Seems like he's always making music.
Doesn't he put out an album every year on the first day of summer?
Yeah. I was about to
Oh,
bring
I
that
didn't
up.
catch that.
Yeah.
I didn't even catch that. But yeah, that's exactly what happened this year. And I mean, he's dropped albums every single year. Yeah. Damn, I didn't even know that. But so in an interesting way, more so than I would probably say with other artists, there's like for him, a personal element, or an emotional element to this that is satisfying beyond the music. Like the growth of the person that we've kind of watched over time, is a really interesting thing to pay attention to with this record. And it's not something that I would really like critique or pay attention to closely with a lot of other artists. I think it's kind of a unique case with this person and the music that he makes. So, Trent, I'll pass it to you off of that.
No, I mean, I think just to kind of like connect a couple of dots that you guys have made, like I think that being kind of feeling this sense of like satisfaction, or like you're polling for this guy, is probably directly related to what Free mentioned about how intimate it is, and that all ties into the mixing and engineering of the record. I think it sounds better on headphones because some of this stuff sounds like a phone call. Like some of this stuff sounds like somebody that you're, not, I wouldn't say concerned about, but just like somebody that you care about and like catching you up on what's going on in their life. And, he has a line that says, I don't remember what song it's on. I'm so bad about remembering the songs, but he says something along the lines of like, struggling, no, but I'm recovering or something. Not anymore, but I'm recovering. And like, I think that is kind of like maybe the overall theme I took from this record, which was just like these past works have been very reflective and kind of paranoid, and like there's a lot of like emotion that's stuck. And I think this record is a good moment of just like shedding some of those fears. And it's not like his whole style switched up and like now he's like making like summer bops and shit. Like that's not how it is, but it is like a really like something you can identify with just as a human who has gone through shit. Like, and that's like really nice and refreshing to hear.
Yeah, this album still sounds and feels very nocturnal and opaque and kind of just dusty, and just still has that very trademarked sound to him. And yeah, I mean,
I just think it's funny that he named it disco ! And the cover is like a disco ball, but it's still like kind of blurry. Like it, I mean, it fits.
Yeah, it's still like muted in a sense, but no. So we always talk about album cover here too, and this is a great point to pause and bring that up because I love the album art, and I agree with you that it's like. It's exactly the way the music sounds. It's like, okay, there's a little bit more vibrancy going on in some of the instrumentals and the delivery of everything. I get where it's disco, it's fun, it's more tuneful, but at the same time, it's still very muted. It's still, like I said, very nightly. It's still very just kind of in that mic, and it hasn't stepped too far out from. I mean, we remember where he came from, so it can't be too far past that. And I feel like this album cover exactly it nabs that because there are colors in this, and they're it's vibrant to a degree, but then it's still muted. It's still kind of not monochromatic, but it's still just kind of desaturated, or it's kind of darkened down a little bit. I think the imagery of it is really cool. I don't know why, but like the fact that he's holding the ball up and it's covering his face, I think is a cool symbol there. And yeah, I love it. I think when I hear the album, I go back and I look at this and I can see where it reminds me of the album.
Yeah, I think it's just great. Like anybody who like shows me that they have a sense of humor about like what they're going through, like I'm always going to be in your corner.
Yeah.
If you're actually like, if you can do that successfully, I'm always going to be in your corner.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know much else to say beyond that. I really enjoyed this. As someone who has just kind of like continually enjoyed each passing Mike record more and more, because unlike you, Trent, Weight of the World really did hit for me, and did. Like was in rotation a lot throughout the year, and even going into this year I've been listening to it a lot, and so I kind of thought, okay, that was his best record after I had heard it, and now this feels like to me like it's close. I don't know if it'll end up being better for me, but it definitely is in the same breath for me, and I think there's an edge, or it's interesting to me in the sense that it is a different record for him than the ones in the past have been. I think, some of the differences that show up in the music and the rapping are really nice. We've been kind of saying this, happy isn't really the word, but like there's just a little bit more silver lining around everything. And a little bit more, I don't know, it doesn't feel as heavy as some of the other stuff that we've heard from him. And it feels a little bit more uplifting. It definitely is nice in that way. Personally, songs like Ah Zaza, the single, Evil Eye, I loved the second song, Alarmed, and really appreciated the sideshow feature in there. Thought that was fucking rad. Tailwind is another track I really enjoyed. That's on kind of the back end. And then all those tracks included with some other tracks that I really liked the beats specifically, like Center City, Frogville, MK Ultra, and then another single, Crystal Ball, that came out. Yeah, it's a nice piece for the Mike discography.